Good evening. I'm gonna start work here. So today I think I'll be working on UI stuff. So let's see. And gotta figure out what I'm doing. So let's see. We've got UI boxes that we need to take a look at. So I need to write down kind of a few things that I'll be actually doing. So scaling UI box. We need to have it force correct aspect ratio. So let's begin. What am I doing? Well, I need to use Slate. That's what we're going to need to have going for us. Little cytochrome. Anywhere I should really start with the UI stuff. I mean, we had kind of talked a little bit about that before, but if anything's changed from just like, well, take a look at the widgets and all that. Because it looks like you started with the size box and then like UI widget and all that stuff. Is scaling working for your tests? Alright, well, I'll make sure I'm built and I'll run it. Is there any test I should look at? Try to post your link again. 4 buttons in the corners. Well, I don't see anything in here. So Dashkin game mode. Okay, so you added a HUD to the game mode? Yeah. Well, game mode doesn't exist on the clients, so you probably never want to put anything in the game mode unless it's server only. So unless this HUD class gets, yeah, because this doesn't even exist. This class doesn't exist on the client. It can't get replicated at all. Yeah, I'm just telling you general. Don't put stuff in the game mode if that's just helpful for future work. For why isn't it working on the clients? It's a real easy thing to accidentally not set up properly. So what the HUD class is actually something that's automatically part of the game mode. So HUD class is the HUD class this game uses. It's on the game mode base. So it might replicate somehow to other clients and do some other things, so it might be the right place for it. I'm reading the docs right now. You need to remember your function headers. Copyright by you? Nah, it needs to be copyright by the company. Because you don't have the rights to take the code away from us. You have a right to a copy of your code. So you can't yank it from us. Your copy, though, you can put the copyright you want on top. But if it's in our code base in our game, it should be the company's copy with our copyright on top. So let's see what this looks like when we run it. Let's make sure I don't have any stupid settings. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't matter if you're an employee or not, if it's owned by, if that copy is owned by the company, you know, it needs to be as such. Otherwise, technically, we're using your copy, which is not correct. Alright, so we got these buttons, which are sticking to, doesn't look like they're always correct, as they're definitely going wrong when we scale that way, but it looks like they have the, you know, I need a better test pattern here. Let's actually change this so I can see the edges without having to guess. The buttons are correct. It certainly does not look like. Yes, that's why I want that splash screen to. Splash screen is confusing for this. So let's just go to our UI here and throw something in the index that we can like screw around with. Alright, so let's just do 100% width. And then is that gonna, we're gonna need position absolute, top 0 pixels, left 0 pixels. And I should put this should be, what do I have for the basic style? Opacity, blah 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 blah. Now where do I actually have this? Is this needing to be inside of the content for that to do what it does? It's been a while since I've messed around with. Whatever, we don't have to fix this, we can just work with the main screen because it's easier. Alright, so what we want to do is, I think it's Z index. If we put that higher, maybe it'll show up. No. Well then I'll just change the main screen to be opaque. I mean semi-transparent. Let's see. Main menu root. Let's just see if I can do opacity 0.5. And if that does what we want. Yeah, okay, so that'll draw. It'll make it real obvious if stuff's not working. Oh, we do not care about having this look good while we drag the screen around. That is not, like, we just don't care. People don't change their window size that often, and when they do, I'm not worried about it. Alright, so we have a HUD, we have these blueprint implementable things. So we're post-initialized components is when we create a new Brackensack HUD. We're giving it something here, possibly null content, whatever. And we're adding a viewport widget to this thing. So where are the buttons? The meat is in Brackensack UI. Thank you for hosting BearBot Gaming. I have absolutely no idea who you are, but thank you for sending all of your millions of followers and all the people over to watch me mess around with UI. Okay, so you started adding everything to Brackensack UI .cpp, and you made. Yeah, you definitely don't want to mix these, like, it should be called, like, you know, Dashkin Slate UI and something like that. Nothing in the C++ code base is pretty much Brackensack. It needs to be Dashkin unless it's, like, literally a Brackensack, you know, specific piece of the game. Everything is Dashkin. What have we got cooking? Well, I'm working on just some learning for Unreal 4's Slate widgets and how to hook up HUDs and stuff like that, because right now we've got like an in-game HUD for everything, but the problem is it's really not very performant in-game, and we're using WebKit for all this, so we need to replace all of our in-game UI stuff with non-WebKit Slate widgets, because we'll be able to update them without killing our performance. So let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with this Scott over whatever. Even if it's just prototype stuff, it shouldn't be called Brackensack. For a lot of this stuff, unless you've got something else going on. So let's see. We've got the UI, which is an actual widget. So kind of how it works is we have the HUD, and the HUD makes it makes a new UI, and then we're adding the UI to the HUD. So the HUD is our parent object. So let's see. Are you working on the UI thing, or am I in this? It looks like this is mine, so I will just start mucking around to make sure I know what I'm doing. Alright, so this is our kind of our UI stuff, so alright, so how it kind of works is we've got our A HUD, and we've extended that with Brackensack HUD. Let's see. The Dashkin game mode is the thing that actually assigns this. So we're going to need to confirm that joining clients also have these same buttons. So what I should do is just go ahead and do that real quick. So let's grab our arena test, and my controller's moving my viewport. Stop it, controller. Why? So let's up our number of players to 3 and play as the listen server. God, I always do that. I always accidentally close the editor when I change those single player settings. It's just reflex. Alright, so what we're doing here is the HUDs post initialize. So let's see. Yeah, and you're calling supers, that's good. Also, I'm not sure, you've got these, are you meaning to have these question mark characters here in your comments? You might have some issues if the file type is, I don't know. I don't know if that's a problem or not. I'm guessing those are supposed to be apostrophes, but they're not apostrophes for some reason, or something. Alright, so we got our big thing here. And it looks like this widget is over the UI, which is not the order, so we're going to want the order changed. Okay, so we want the order of widgets to be changed. So WebKit is on top of this the Slate UI. Alright, so all the other clients look like they're getting the HUD properly, so that's good. We are confirmed that we're not screwing ourselves with using the game mode. Don't close the editor. Alright. And what we're going to do is we've got the Dashkin viewport, and the HUD post in it is creating a Rack-and-Stack UI object, which is a compound widget. And then we're going to attach that to the viewport. And then on this Rack-and-Stack UI widget, we have, I guess we're creating our screen. So what we got going on here is we have our compound widget. Let me just take a look at what the definition of a compound widget is. Okay, you search compound widget, and it doesn't have jack shit going on for it. So let's just look up S compound widget, because Slate has that stupid things. Give me the real C++ documentation, not the garbage one, please. Yeah, so this has got the annoying, stupid documentation for it, which is not fun. Alright, so compound widgets, the base, most primitive widgets should be built. Compound widgets have protected child slot. So it looks like it's got some basic crap for setting its scale, setting its foreground color, and it's really just nothing. It's just an empty thing. Okay, so compound widget is not a whole hell of a lot of anything. Let's go crack it open. Alright, so they've got on paint, which draws children. Get foreground color, set visibility, everything else. So did you have to edit the actual viewport to send any of this crap in here? for the button clicks. I'm guessing you haven't touched any of that. Alright, so yeah, it's only got like... Okay, so this thing figures out its own desired size based on just its children. Okay. Okay, so, and then we've got the Braggonsack UI inside of its constructors where we actually build things. So we have a scale box. So we're going to draw all this crap out. So we got a scale box. And then we have a size box. And this is set to... fill horizontal, fill vertical. So that's probably going to take up the entire screen. We have our size box, which is fill and fill. Width overrides are 1280, 1080, and we have min and max aspect ratio. I don't see how you can set the H-align and V-align to fill and then override the heights and widths. I wonder if that actually does anything, or if Slate just ignores it. Yeah, you're right. It's a Dashkin size box for that. So we've got our width. Yeah, one thing I found with Slate is that it's real easy to just have like a bunch of styles that don't do a damn thing in there. It's actually more difficult to keep it as like a clean house, to be like, well, this style doesn't actually do anything, so we can remove it. It's just I found myself getting lazy where I was just like, okay, it works, fucking don't touch it. Okay, so we got our aspect ratios, and then we have an S overlay, which so we have an overlay widget, which is going to be, I guess, the entire screen. And we again have fill horizontal and fill vertical. And then we've got our buttons. We have 4 overlays. It looks like we have an overlay, and then we have a button. And we're doing our align left, top, and then dot 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 going down there. Alright, so we got like our size box and everything else. Cool. So, if we wanted to create a new widget, I'm assuming that you're thinking we'll make it inside of C++. So like we would make a Dashkin GameClock.cpp or GameClock widget or something like that. In code specifically, We've got our size box, so that is an S panel. Okay, so you've got your width override set and everything, and you're actually handling all this crap. I'm assuming you probably copied this stuff from somewhere. At least that's kind of the gut check, because I haven't seen like any check usage out of your code. I'm assuming you grabbed this from some panel and then you modified it to actually do what we want. Alright, so, and then basically you're just using an overlay once we have this stuff on here, and what it looks like in game when we run it is we have these buttons, and when we make it smaller, the text gets so it looks like the actual size of the widgets is based on the width, I believe. So width scaling right now. We don't have the height scaling coming in. Yeah, the height doesn't appear to change the width. Very good, but it is scaling everything. And we've got our basic stuff going along. Yeah, alright. So let's make a test widget. Let's see how the hell to actually make this. This is just a basic widget. So we have a canvas panel as our top thing, and then our image. Scale 1:1, shear angle pivot is in the middle. Alright, so why don't we make this so it's 1080 is alright, so it's probably using our default. And these are all in screen coordinates, is what it looks like. So it's 1080 by 680. Right, why is that? 19-inch monitor. So let's just throw a square on here. Alright, let's have some text in the middle of this thing. Can I copy you and then I can't duplicate you. Self-hit test invisible. Tooltip widget. Tooltip widget. No, we don't give a shit about that. Okay, here's a brush. Very good. These look like percentage-based anchors for where your widget kind of exists in the screen or something like that. Or within the extent of the area that you're working with. So it's got the offsets in. It seems like it's storing them in percent, but it's not. And these all have different anchor widget shit going on, so widget cannot have children, so we can't like put an text on an image. It has to be based on that. Alright, so let's add more text. Let's call this one dynamic text box. Dynamic text. Alright, so we have dynamic text as a variable, a simple static text widget. Okay, cool. So, and then we've got like our graph for what's going on here. So like we go to construct. Let's go to like our game instance. So we've got game screen changed. On construct of test widget. Alright, so if we like snag the Dashkin get Dashkin game instance, get game instance. So that should snag our game instance, and I just want to Alright, so on game options changed, event, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab our dynamic text, set text. We're just going to say the text is now this when the game options get changed. And why don't we just print out some stuff. Alright, and the thing is we actually need to make one of these guys, right? So the question would be, how do we actually create a new widget? Do we just we can't just drag it into the world or something. We're gonna have to add it as a child, and the only place we can reference it is in blueprints. Alright, so what is the S Brackensack UI? Yeah, okay, so we'll get is there like a get HUD sort of thing on our level, maybe? I see. So you already threw some test stuff in here. So you're getting the game instance, creating your clock and all that stuff with enable prototype UIs in there. So what is the HUD? It's actually a HUD. And a HUD is an actual actor, and we should be able to grab its. We should be able to grab it. So let's see if we can do Brackensack HUD. And Brackensack UI. It's not a public thing though. I'm gonna need to make it public so I can snag it. so let's check this out. Save it, close our editor, and we'll see if I can access this guy. Yeah, well, we can deal with text merge conflicts. Those are real simple. Alright. And of course we have our implicit scoping, so we should not do that. If anything, this should go below like that. Must be uClass, uStruct, or uEnum for blueprints to actually access this. Yeah, I guess that's true. Is there any reason this is a shared pointer as opposed to a uProperty, just raw pointer? Yeah, Perforce will let you merge text just fine. It's just binary files. I wouldn't be able to check the file out if that wasn't the case. So let's see, is there any reason not to just have a pointer like this? Alright, so this thing is not a uClass, uStruct, or uEnum. Alright, so that's the big issue here. Is this is not something that we can actually access. Because it's a compound widget, so we can't actually reference these things. Right. So how am I supposed to access this to add a child? Let's see. Access S widget in Blueprint in C++ from Blueprint. Okay. This compound widget is This is the wrong fucking documentation. Thanks, Emil. So S widget comes from what? S widget is the top. So how the hell are you supposed to interact with these things if you can't reference them from blueprints if you define them in C++? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Why? It's like if we declare a widget, like, I mean, makes no fucking sense. Like, sure, okay, we got U properties and we can set U classes and other shit like that, but how do we get an actual HUD object to attach a widget to? Like, how the fuck are we supposed to attach the widget? Alright, so make a widget, we create a widget, blah blah blah. Add to viewport? It seems pretty not super amazing. If there's like add to viewport, like would I want to add it to a specific actor, or I guess we're not even in actor land because Slate doesn't do any of that crap. I guess maybe I'm being influenced by thinking about this in terms of a DOM, and I guess maybe it's not like that somehow. Just calling add to viewport seems so stupid. Like, how am I supposed to guarantee? Like, I want to add this to a specific widget. So, I mean, I can go ahead and get the HUD, and I could add like a function here for passing a widget over or some shit like that. And add viewport widget content. Yeah, but we want to add it to the UI itself. So we'd want to get like this size box and add something inside of the size box. If there's a meta bind widget, isn't meta stuff just metadata? Alright, so we want to call create widget some shit. Player controller reference owning player. The player that owns this widget. Well, let's just leave it to null. Add to the game viewport and fills the entire screen unless set desired size of viewport is called, and to explicitly set the size target is user widget. This is for cosmetic non-gameplay action. Z order. Seems real mega stupid to me. Because it's dealing with in terms of players? Like, not super thrilled about that. I can't do that because of the fucking comments. Nice going, Unreal.